Version 1. The Spaceman. Before the glitter and the lightning bolts, there was David Jones, a young man from Brixton with a saxophone and a dream. In the early 1960s, he bounced between local bands like the Conrads and the King Bees, trying to find his footing in the vibrant London music scene. He released a string of unsuccessful singles under different names, but the ambition was always there. After changing his name to David Bowie to avoid confusion with the Monkees' Davy Jones, he released a quirky, music hall-inspired debut album in 1967, which faded into obscurity. At this point, he was a struggling artist, studying mime and exploring Buddhism, still searching for the spark that would ignite his career. That spark came in 1969. Timed perfectly with the Apollo 11 moon landing, Bowie released Space Oddity. The song was a haunting, cinematic tale of a fictional astronaut named Major Tom drifting away from Earth. It captivated the public imagination and soared into the UK top 5, giving Bowie his first real taste of fame. The subsequent album and his next masterpiece, 1971's Hunky Dory, showcased a brilliant and versatile songwriter, mixing folk, rock, and pop. The stage was set for his first great transformation. Version 2, The Alien Messiah. This is the version that made David Bowie a superstar. In 1972, he unleashed his most famous creation, Ziggy Stardust, a bisexual alien rock star sent to save a doomed Earth. With his flaming red mullet, androgynous costumes, and a band called the Spiders from Mars, Bowie didn't just create an album, he created a universe. The rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars became a cultural phenomenon, a glam rock masterpiece with iconic songs like Starman and Suffragette City. Bowie fully inhabited the character, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. His theatrical, gender-bending performances on stage and television, like his legendary appearance on Top of the Pops, challenged every convention of the time and became a beacon for anyone who felt like an outsider. Ziggy Stardust was more than music. It was a statement on fame, identity, and artifice. When Bowie dramatically killed the character on stage in 1973, he cemented his legacy as rock's ultimate chameleon, a master of reinvention who was always one step ahead of everyone else. Version 3. The Plastic Soul Man. After killing Ziggy, Bowie shed the glitter of glam rock and moved to America, immersing himself in the sounds of Philadelphia soul and funk. The result was the 1975 album Young Americans, a collection of songs he brilliantly dubbed Plastic Soul. This new sound was smooth, rhythmic, and deeply American, producing his first ever #1 hit in the US, Fame, a cynical and funky track he co-wrote with John Lennon. It was a complete reinvention, proving that Bowie could master any genre he touched. As his music changed, so did his persona. He transformed into the Thin White Duke, a cold, aristocratic, and impeccably dressed character who sang love songs with an unnerving emptiness. This era, fueled by paranoia and escalating drug use, produced the 1976 masterpiece Station to Station. It was a dark, complex album that served as a bridge between his American soul phase and the electronic experimentation to come. The Thin White Duke was a chilling and captivating creation, a nasty character by Bowie's own admission, born from one of the darkest periods of his life. Version 4. The Berlin Innovator. To escape the personal demons and creative exhaustion of Los Angeles, Bowie moved to West Berlin in 1977, seeking anonymity and artistic rebirth. There, in collaboration with the visionary musician and producer Brian Eno, he created one of the most influential bodies of work in music history, the Berlin Trilogy. The albums Low, Heroes, and Lodger saw Bowie abandon conventional rock music for something far more challenging and introspective. Influenced by German krautrock bands like Kraftwerk and Neu, Bowie and Eno experimented with synthesizers, ambient soundscapes, and avant-garde recording techniques. The albums were often split between fragmented, experimental pop songs and long atmospheric instrumental pieces. While less commercially successful at the time, these records were groundbreaking. The title track from Heroes became one of his most beloved and enduring anthems, a story of defiant love in the shadow of the Berlin Wall. This era solidified Bowie's reputation as a true artist who prioritized innovation over fame, creating music that would influence post-punk, new wave, and electronic artists for decades to come. Version 5. The Global Pop Superstar. After a decade of challenging his audience with artistic detours, Bowie decided it was time to conquer them. He kicked off the 80s with Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, which produced the hit Ashes to Ashes, a brilliant sequel to Space Oddity that revisited the character of Major Tom, but his commercial peak was still to come. In 1983, with his hair dyed blonde and a sharp new suit, he released Let's Dance. Co-produced by Nile Rodgers of Chic, the album was a masterclass in slick, joyful, and incredibly catchy pop funk. The title track, Modern Love, and China Girl were massive global hits, and their stylish music videos made Bowie a permanent fixture on the newly launched MTV. He went from a beloved cult artist to arguably the biggest pop star on the planet, selling out stadiums worldwide on the Serious Moonlight Tour. He even starred in hit movies like Labyrinth, becoming a true household name. For a moment, David Bowie was the undisputed king of pop culture. Version 6, the rock band Rebel. Just as quickly as he embraced global pop stardom, Bowie ruthlessly rejected it. Feeling creatively bankrupt and uncomfortable with his mainstream fame, he made a move that shocked the music world. He formed a band called Tin Machine. This wasn't a backing band, it was a democratic four-piece unit where Bowie was just the lead singer, not the star. With guitarist Reeves Gabrels and the Sales Brothers on bass and drums, Tin Machine played raw, aggressive, and often abrasive hard rock. The project was a deliberate act of artistic self-sabotage. Bowie grew a beard, ditched the designer suits for simple clothes, and played in small, sweaty clubs instead of stadiums. The two Tin Machine albums were met with confusion and hostility from critics and fans who wanted the pop icon back. But for Bowie, it was a necessary artistic reset. It was his way of tearing down the persona of the 80s superstar and getting back to the raw energy of making music for himself. Tin Machine allowed him to recharge his creativity and proved he was still a punk at heart, willing to destroy his own image to find a new way forward. Version 7, The Electronic Explorer. Creatively recharged, Bowie began the 90s by marrying supermodel Iman and releasing Black Tie White Noise, an album inspired by their union and the LA riots. It marked a return to a more soulful, experimental sound and hit #1 in the UK. Throughout the decade, Bowie remained restless, diving into the new sounds of industrial rock, jungle, and drum and bass. He reunited with Brian Eno for the complex concept album Outside in 1995, and embraced the frenetic energy of electronic dance music on 1997's Earthling. It was Bowie the futurist, proving he was still listening to the underground and absorbing new ideas. By the early 2000s, with albums like Heathen and Reality, he had settled into his role as a celebrated elder statesman of rock. He was touring, creating critically acclaimed music, and was widely recognized for his immense influence on generations of artists. However, after suffering a heart attack on stage in 2004, he made a sudden and drastic decision. He withdrew entirely from public life. For nearly a decade, the world heard almost nothing from him, leading many to believe he had quietly retired for good. Version 8, the final masterpiece. After nearly a decade of silence, David Bowie shocked the world on his 66th birthday in 2013. Without any warning, he dropped Where Are We Now?, his first new song in 10 years, and announced a forthcoming album, The Next Day. It was a triumphant, critically lauded return from an artist everyone thought had retired. But his final act would be his greatest and most mysterious. On January 8, 2016, his 69th birthday, he released his final album, Blackstar. It was a dark, complex, and jazz-infused masterpiece, unlike anything he had done before. Just 2 days later, the world learned that David Bowie had passed away after a private 18-month battle with liver cancer. The album was not just a new record, it was a carefully planned final statement, a parting gift to his fans. With lyrics about a man in heaven with scars that can't be seen, it became clear that Blackstar was a self-penned epitaph, a work of art that turned his own death into his final, breathtaking performance. From a folk singer dreaming of the stars to the Starman himself, David Bowie wasn't just a musician. He was a living work of art. He taught the world that identity is fluid and that embracing change is the key to eternal relevance. More than any other artist, he showed that a pop song could be theater, philosophy, and a rebellion all at once. His legacy is not just in the timeless hits, but in every artist who dares to be different, and in every person who found the courage to be themselves through his music. Now, the choice is yours. Head down to the comments and tell us which music legend you want us to analyze in the next version vault.